Hello,
Hello,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Javakumari, ma'am.
Javakumari, ma'am. சொல்லுங்க மேடம். குட்
Ma'am,
ஆஃப்டர்நூன்.
sir. Very good
வெரி குட்
afternoon, ma'am.
ஆஃப்டர்நூன் மேம்.
சார் இன்னும்
சார் இன்னும்
வரலீங்களாட்டிருக்குங்க.
வரலீங்களாட்டிருக்குங்க.
செல்வகுமார் சாரும் மூவேந்திரன் சாரும்.
மேடம் மூவேந்தன் சார் கனெக்ட் ஆயிருவாங்க மேடம். இன்னொரு ரிசோர்ஸ் பர்சன் என்னோட ஐடியில உள்ள இருக்காங்க மேம்.
அப்படியாங்க சார், நாங்கள் அதனால தெரியலைங்க மேம், அதனால தான் வெயிட் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தோம். ஸ்டார்ட்
ஓகே.
பண்ணிடலாங்களா? ஹலோ,
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க மேடம், ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க.
ஓகே மேம், தேங்க்யூ.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to this afternoon session. To begin with, I request Dr. S. Saraswati, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of Commerce, to welcome the gathering.
I deem it a great pleasure to welcome one and all present here. I extend a warm welcome to our chief guests of the afternoon session, Dr. M. Selvakumar, Assistant Professor and Head, Center for Research and PG Department of Commerce, and IQAC Executive Committee member, and Dr. M. Muvendan, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of English and IQAC Executive Committee member, INRR Janaki Ammal College, Sivagasi. I also extend my warm welcome to faculty members of Menti Institution and our institution. Once again, I welcome one and all present here. It is immense pleasure to introduce our chief guest, Dr. M. Selvakumar, Assistant Professor and Head, Center for Research and PG Department of Commerce, and IQAC Executive Committee member, INRR Janaki Ammal College, Sivagasi. He is a rank holder in UG and PG at college level, and he secured university fifth rank in PG. He has 20 years of teaching experience, and he has produced 29 MPhil and 11 PhD, and also 3 scholars have submitted PhD and awaiting for public viva voce. He has published 9 books, 170 research articles in various reputed journals, and 19 articles in conference proceedings. He has acted as a deputy dean in academic affairs and research cell. Such a dedicated and wonderful personality amid us.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants are requested to fill the registration form posted in the chat box. Now, I request Dr. M. Selvakumar, Assistant Professor and Head, Center for Research and PG Department of Commerce, IQAC Executive Committee member, Ayanada Janaki Ammal College, to engage us.
Thank you, madam. Happy afternoon to all of you. Let me thank the management, the principal, IQAC coordinator, and IQAC members, the team members of the Parama scheme, and dear participants. Okay, for having a wonderful opportunity to given us to discuss our own perception towards the various titles regard with the NAC and other related aspects. And this angle, here we are going to discuss on the governance and leadership in higher education institutions in the present scenario. I think you are all know that uh, the governance and leadership plays a dominant role not only in the educational institutions, not only in the business organizations, but also in the educational institutions. I hope you are all well aware about the various criterions which is spelled in the NAC. That is totally here we have the 7 criterions. Among the 7, the governance is one among them, and it's placed as a 6th one. On my own perception, the performance of the educational institution in all other criterions is basically based on the governance and leadership practice followed by the educational institutions. Yes, this is a purely qualitative aspects. Okay, to measure such a qualitative nature of the educational institutions, okay, the NAC asks some questions through which that qualitative aspects of governance practices of the educational institution is measured. Okay, here for your easy understanding, okay, here I have the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, now I am going to present my window. I think now you are receiving my window. I am right? Dear participants, are you receiving my window? Yes, I hope.
Yes, sir.
Ah,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir, we can see it, sir.
Yes. Okay, madam. Thank you, madam. Thank you. The title here we are going to discuss is governance and leadership in higher education institution. Okay, before discussing the main content, first of all, we want to understand some statistics related to the educational industry in India. Okay, in India there are 20 lakh students, 20 lakh schools are operating, out of which 11 lakh schools are government aided, and among these 58,033 schools are operating in Tamil Nadu, and among the 58,000 schools, 37,211 is amounting to 64% of these schools are government aided, and 36 schools are private schools. And regard with the universities, there are totally 1,005 universities are in India, and among these 68, only 68 universities are in Tamil Nadu. And the colleges, around 45,000 colleges are operating in India. Among these, only 1,500 colleges are in Tamil Nadu. Regard with arts and science colleges, okay, in Tamil Nadu we have only 566 arts and science colleges. Okay, both aided and there is a government aided and self-financing colleges. And whereas in India, totally 15,000 colleges are operating in India. While seeing these statistics, really we proud. Okay, as far as the statistics concerns, we proud that while considering the quality aspects, really we are not proud, because the education in India are in some difficult situations. Okay, because the 74.8% of the adults are illiterates. Okay, whereas in literates, whereas in the world it is 86.3%. We are below than the world literates rate. And the enrollment in higher secondary education is only 51.4% as per the data of 2019. The enrollment in higher education is only 27.1% in 2019, and annually 3.38 crores of students only enrolled for higher educations. Okay, regarding the enrollment, the higher secondary is only 51% and the higher education is only 27%. The remaining 63% they are go for employment while they complete the higher secondary education. And the employment ratio for men is only 39%. Okay, only the 39% of the graduates is employable. And regard with the women, it's a little bit better. It's amount to 41%. Literacy gender parity index is 1.01. Okay, whereas in the previous year, that is a 2018, it is just 1. Okay, there is a people teacher ratio in school education is a 26.5. That shows that every teacher here we have a 26.5 students, but it should be 20 is appropriate. The budget allocation to the education is only 93,224.31 crores. Okay, which is less by 6,000 crores in the previous year. Okay, which shows some of the setback in the higher education industry in India. What is the reasons for these setbacks? Dear friends, here I find some of the reasons for the setbacks of the higher education institution, higher education field in India. Okay, these setbacks are found by me. Okay, on my own perception, I find these setbacks. The first one is the corruption. Okay, as we know that in everywhere we face some corruption. The corruption leads to the poor quality. The educational department is not an exception for that. Okay, in education department also we are facing so much of corruptions. Okay, delayed appointments. Okay, and so many corruptions leads to the poor quality in the educational department. Lack of the control over the institutions. In India, we have the three forms of the institutions: government aided, and the private institutions. Over the past few years, the role of the private institutions dominant the government and the government aided institutions. Therefore, the control lose its the government lose its control on the educational institutions. Then improper fund allocations. Okay, the fund mostly the government concentrates more on the government and government aided institution. The self-financing institutions is totally avoided from the funding from the government. Okay, therefore the government totally neglect the private institution. The private institution, they depend on for their own mobilization for their expenses. Generally, the private institutions they run from the funds collected from the students. That leads to the poor quality in that educational institutions. And self-financing mode of the educations, as you know that the self-financing institutions collect more fee, and at the same time they are not concentrating on the quality of the education. Lesser focus on the skill enhancement. Nowadays we are producing the students with the degree and not with the skill. That is why the government of India insisted so many programs, including the national education policy, okay, for enhancement of the skills among the students. The improper and varying syllabus content. I think you know that here we are having various patterns of the education, okay, affiliation and autonomous and universities. Here we followed the different syllabus, university by university, college by college, state by state. Okay, therefore that leads to some differentiations among the learning habits of the students. The no fund for the research. I think you know that the research is an integral part of the educational field. Here at present there is no fund for the research. There is no uniformity. Okay, here we are following the different patterns of the educational model by state and university by university. without having the uniformity in the educational pattern, how we are making, how I don't know how we are going to make students with the same level of knowledge. And teaching and research in college. Okay, as we know that the university concentrates the research more, but in colleges we just ride with uh, the two cart. That's called as here we are concentrate more on the teaching and research. Okay, it is really difficult to the teaching community at college level. No tie-ups for the institution and industry. This is a great drawback for the Indian educational system. Here there is no such a uniform system and the formulas to make a better tie-up with the institution and industry to giving apprenticeship or institutional training to the students. The lack of apprenticeship, there is as I already discussed, okay, there is no apprenticeship. Okay, just like a medical educations here, there is no apprenticeship for other fields of the education. That great drawback for giving and the practical exposure to the students community. And government policy, okay, government by government, here we are changing the policy. Okay, education is not exception to that. Therefore the changing government policy seriously affect the quality of the higher education in India. Okay, I hope my dear friends, these setbacks are definitely okay make a higher education institutions in different phenomena. Okay, what is the reasons for these reasons of the setback? What is the backdrop of the reasons for the education institutions? Here, the one thing that is the lack of governance and the leadership practice in the higher education in India. Okay, on the whole, okay, on the whole, the ministry should follow the governance practices and the individual macro level, the higher education department and the higher education affects body should follow that practices and methodology. At the micro level, every institution they should follow their own governance and leadership practices. That governance and leadership practices make the institutions better in their operations. Okay, then what is a governance? What is a governance? It is an act of the process of governing or overseeing the control and the direction of the institutions. Therefore, the governance is nothing but the control and the direction of the institution. Overseeing the control and the direction of the institutions are generally called as the governance. Okay, therefore, every institution they should have their own methodology to oversee the control and the direction of the institutions where we want to go. That is very important. Okay, here I would coin the one திருக்குறள் பொருள் கருவி காலம் வினை இடனோடு ஐந்தும் இருள் தீர எண்ணி செயல். ஓகே, தமிழில் வந்து திருக்குறள் வந்து ஒரு முக்கியமான நூல். நம்மளுடைய எல்லா கேள்விகளுக்கும் பதில் தரக்கூடிய ஒரு நூல். கவர்னன்ஸுக்கு அவங்க என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கிறாங்க அப்படின்னா, ஒரு குறள் வந்து திருவள்ளுவர் சொல்லியிருக்கிறார். ஓகே, அதுக்குரிய பொருளும் இங்கேயே கொடுத்துருக்குறேன். வேண்டிய பொருள், கருவிகள், தக்க காலம், செயலறிவு, உரிய இடம் எனும் ஐந்தையும் எந்தவித தயக்கமும் இல்லாமல் ஆராய்ந்து கொண்ட பின்னரே செய்தல் வேண்டும். This is what the right explanations for the governance. How here we can do the particular activity, that is very important. The results of the activity decides your performance. Therefore, here we can do the activity with the right product, with the right instruments, at the right time, with the right knowledge, and at the right place. That is very important. Here, everything should be in the right. Okay, here you should consider all these 5 for carry out the particular activities. This is what the governance. Okay, the governance here is not related to what, it's related to how. Okay, what here we are going to do is not necessary. How we are performing, how we are going to a particular thing is a very important. Okay. Rightly said in Tamil, என்ன செய்கிறோம் என்பதை விட எப்படி செய்கிறோம் என்பது ரொம்ப முக்கியமானது. That is here the governance concentrates more on how and not what. Whatever may be, whatever you do, that should be did by right manner and right think. That is very important. That is why here I would stress on how instead of the what. Okay, what constitutes the good governance? What constitutes the good governance? The governance is called as a good governance. Okay, if it concentrates these six parameters. Okay, first one is the transparent. Okay, here everything should be known to all, transparent to all. Here, for the educational institutions, we should frame everything well in advance and displayed in our college websites. That is very important. Whatever may be you decide regard with your policy or regard with your activity, you just posted in the same thing in your websites. That should be transparent to everything. There is no in between lines. There is no in between lines. Okay, everything should be free to determine and transparent to everything. Then accountable. Okay, here every activity, for every activity here, we have to be accountable. Every staff members, every responsible person should be accountable for the work allotted to them. Okay, otherwise here we can't expect the definite results. Therefore, if you allocate a particular work to the particular person, then here you make that person is accountable for the results of the particular activity. Then only we can achieve the better results in the activity and expect the better performance. And follows the rule of law. Okay, here we should follow the uniformity of the rule of law. Okay, to whomever that law should be equal. Okay, for whatever may be here, we just follow the law which framed for that purpose. There is no rule of thumb. And responsive, here the voluntary responsive is very important for the better performance. For the normal performance, okay, for the normal performance, the completion of the work is enough. But extraordinary performance, the responsiveness activity is very important. Equitable and inclusiveness is one more criteria that is very important. Here we should include everything. Here we should be inclusive of everything, including the human being as well as the infrastructures available in the educational institution, and make that infrastructure available to all equally. Then consensus oriented. This is very important, getting a consent from all. Okay, that is very important. The carrying out the activities with the consent of the all, giving a maximum results, giving a better results. Therefore, before implementing anything, we should get an agreement from all the stakeholders of the institution that produces the best results. Okay, for whatever the activity, okay, if you follow these good practices, good governance, then definitely we can get a better leadership. Okay, through that leadership, we can achieve a better results. I hope the educational institution is not exemption to this. Okay, however, this is not a profit-making organization. Here we are doing some service to the students community and the society. Okay, however, we should follow some governance practices to make our educational institutions at the top level in the NAC as well as the NIRFA ranking. I hope you are all aware about the role of NAC and NIRF for the quality enhancement, and there is a funding for receiving the funding from the government. Therefore, to get a better rank in NIRF and NAC, definitely we should follow the good governance. Okay, this is a general concepts regarding the governance. How we are applying these governance practices in the educational institutions. And before that, here we should answer to that questions to whom we need the governance. To whom we need the governance. Here, I think here we are three group of the stakeholders. Mainly, one is the management and the teaching community and the students community. Okay, for all these three group, we need a governance. At our own end, we should follow at our own end, we should follow that governance practices. At the management level, okay, we should apply these at the policy decision making process. Okay, at the rule of application, transparency. Okay, and most of the governance practices at the end of the management, they should follow. If the management follows these governance practices that supports the good working environment of the educational institutions and they create a good moral among the teaching community. And apart from that, the management should practices some policies, frame some policies regard with the practices of extending the financial support to the faculty members to attend refresher and orientation courses or workshops and seminars. And apart from that, some welfare measures that should be implemented at the college level for the welfare of the student as well as the teaching community. If these things are implemented, definitely that is the teachers and the faculty members, they come forward to work towards the society and for the betterment of the students community. And at the level of the teachers, we also should follow the governance practices regard with treating the students equally and extending our knowledge maximum to the welfare of the students community, transform everything to the welfare of the students and make aware of the students about all the facilities and make them students to utilize the facilities for the betterment of their for the betterment of the students and to reach the better position in their career. Okay, and regarding the students, they also follow some governance practices. They should follow rules and regulations of the college. They should utilize the facilities available in the institution. Okay, and they make that is ourselves fruitful to the society. These things are very important. Therefore, at the end of the management and the students and the teaching community, everybody we should follow the governance practices, and then only the institution reaches the top level at the national level. And here I find something which are very important regard with the governance and leadership. Okay, what we should do at the college level regard with the governance. Okay, design our own system. As you know that, okay, at the micro level, the institution at the institution level, okay, here it is not necessary to follow the system of the other institution because here have some unique character, unique features. Therefore, developing our own administration system is best for producing the best results in the aspects of the quality. Therefore, design our own system for everything, for admission, for administration, for teaching and learning. That is best. Okay. Then innovation. Encourage the teachers and students for innovation. Okay, and incorporate such innovative things in your operations. That is very important. Inclusiveness. Okay, include everybody in your growth process. That is very important. Okay, here single hand does not make a sound. Therefore, getting a support from everybody, getting a support from everybody decides your success. Therefore, inclusiveness include everything in your growth process. Okay, that produces the better results towards the quality enhancement. The professional development, that is very important. Okay, the development of the teachers decides the development of the students community. Okay, if the teachers are developed, and automatically the students are developed, because here the knowledge transfer is mainly from the teachers. Therefore, the management and at the department level, the head of the department, they support the professional development activities of the teacher. That is very important. The better working nature, that is very important. The working mode should be better. Instead of the working conditions, here we should develop the working nature. Okay, here we should create the environment to make the teachers to come forward towards the welfare of the students and the institution. That is very important. Okay, for creating that working nature, some flexibility rule and some what I can say, the welfare measures is very useful to the institutions. The inclusive infrastructures, okay, creating the state of art infrastructure is very important, and also making the infrastructure available to all sector of the stakeholders. So that includes women as well as the differently abled persons of the institutions. Then flexibility. Here, change is the only constant in the world. Therefore, our system should be flexible to incorporate whatever the changes in the changes in the national level or the state level or in the world level. Therefore, here our system should be flexible to accommodate everything. Okay, I think you know that now the central government implement the national educational policy, the national educational policy at the uh, national level. Okay. But the Tamil Nadu government is not decided about the implementation of the national educational policy. Uh, Maybe in future that policy may be implemented in Tamil Nadu also. Therefore, our system, our educational pattern should accommodate the changes like that. Okay, to make students more benefited. The equal importance to everybody. Okay, instead of giving the importance to somebody, uh, treat all equal. That is very important. That is very useful to give a better working nature. The best utilization. Okay, as we are from rural, okay, most of the colleges are self-financing. We have a limited resources. Okay, therefore we should have some practices to make the usage of the resources in the best manner. Learner centric. Okay, I think you know that nowadays we are converted our practices, okay, from teachers to learner. Okay, previously in the Gurukula system we are learner, that is a teacher centric. Now we are the learner centric. Okay, teacher is one of the sources of the knowledge. Now the students can get knowledge through various modes and various ways, and here everything should be on the point of view of the students community. Okay, that is why so many systems are incorporated in the educational pattern, the elective skill oriented courses, allied courses, interdisciplinary courses. Okay, apprenticeship, lot of the things here we incorporate. Now we incorporate in the pattern of the syllabi, the pattern of the curriculum, for the better results to the learner. That is very important. And the societal insight, whatever we do in our institution, there should have some societal insight, the societal aspects. Okay, because here we are part and parcel of the society. Okay, therefore we should concentrate, we should contribute something to the society. We should concentrate something to the society through our activities. Okay, that is why now the NAC expects the extension activity uh, the extension activities from the educational institutions for the betterment of the society. Okay, and last but not least, that is a review system. Okay, here we should have a best review system. Okay, once in a particular interval, we should review our practices. We should review our performance. As per the performance, we make some modifications, we make some betterment in the practice, then we can follow the same thing. Therefore, once in a particular interval, we should review our practices for the betterment of the overall system. And dear friends, I hope there is the governance practices uh, have a great influences on the overall performance of the educational institutions. Every institution they concentrate more on the statistical aspects. Okay, even in a NAC, we are asking more a number of statistics. Okay, number of programs, number of faculty members, and the number of syllabi, percentage of the syllabi, which are all converted, and everything. We generally have a belief that the statistics make us better, but actually the qualitative aspects are very important for the betterment. For the betterment, the governance is one of the qualitative aspects. Okay, uh, the measurement of that qualitative aspects is different. The measurement of the qualitative aspects is different. Okay, and we have some methodology to measure such qualitative aspects. However, we have such measurement techniques. Okay, we don't know whether that measurement is right or not. Okay, therefore, whatever you do in your institution, in our institutions, we should follow such best practices. The deciding the practices as the best, the deciding the practices as the best, okay, is basically at our end. Therefore, decide everything and provide everything best to your student and best to your institutions. I hope that is the photo shown in the PowerPoint. Okay, he is none other than Mahatma Gandhi. As per his words, your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your action. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny. Okay, if you have a better belief, definitely you have a better destiny. Okay, in the educational institutions, if the teachers have a better belief, and definitely the students has a better destiny. The students has a better destiny. This is the peculiar uniqueness of the educational institutions. Okay, I hope okay you will do better. You will have a better belief. Okay, to reach your students in a better destiny in their career. For that, your governance, your leadership practices, your governance, your leadership practices definitely helps the students community, okay, and the society and overall to the nations. Therefore, follow the best governance practices and make yourself best in the overall performance of the educational institutions. With these, please, if you have any queries, please ask. And I hope I complete my session within the stipulated time. Okay, I have been allotted only 45 minutes. As there is no queries? As there is no queries, I would like to thank the organizers. There is a right from the principal, coordinator IQAC, and other faculty members from various mentee institutions for their patient listening and for giving the golden chance to me to explain my own perception. What I discuss here is my own perception. If you had, maybe if you have the discrepancy on my perception, however, take all these things in the right sense. Thank you for the opportunity.
கேக்குதா? Thank you, sir. Now I introduce the chief guest, Dr. M. Muvendan. I deem it a great pleasure to introduce our chief guest, Dr. M. Muvendan, Assistant Professor and Head of English and IQAC Executive Committee Member, Ayyanadar Janaki Ammal College, Sivagasi. He has acted as a coordinator for College of Excellence, coordinator for Center for Competitive Exam, and academic counselor for IGNO. He has acted as a member in various committees at college level and a selection committee member in MEPCO English Engineering College. He is the editor-in-chief in Please, a student literary magazine. He has edited 11 books and published research papers in 17 journals and 12 proceedings, and presented 38 papers in seminars and conferences at national level and international level. Such a dedicated and wonderful and eminent personality amid us to deliver the speech.
Ma'am, am I audible? Good evening, everybody. Good evening, madam. Am I audible? Hello, madam. Good evening.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is the screen visible? Is my PPT
Yes, sir.
visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Very good afternoon, everyone. First, let me thank my principal from my institution, Dr. C. Ashok sir, and the beloved coordinator of IQAC, Professor, Senior Professor from Mathematics, Professor R. Jagannathan sir, assistant coordinators, and the principal of the host institution, Vellore College, and I thank the IQAC members, all the faculty members, for having given me this wonderful opportunity to talk about the topic, innovations and value systems in Indian higher education in India. Once again, a warm good evening, everyone, especially talking to you in a post-lunch session will be a very difficult one. I understand that. It will be very difficult to listen. Kindly bear with me for another 30 or 35 minutes. I'll wind up. I'll promise you that my session won't be long for more than 40 minutes. So let me begin. I am in charge of criteria number 7 in ANJAC, which talks about the institutional values and best practices. As Dr. Selva Kumar and other expert members have talked to you in the morning, for any institution, we need to have innovations and we need to follow value systems. So these two things are inevitable according to NAC, and let me share with you a few things what we follow in ANJAC, and this kind of platform can be used to share or mutually understand what kind of innovations and best practices we can use for NAC accreditation. So why there should be a need for innovation? As a famous saying goes, necessity is the mother of invention. Is my voice audible, madam? Shall I continue like this? Am I loud and clear?
Audible, sir?
Yes. Okay. Is the PPT also visible, right? You can also see this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. Why there should be a need for innovation? 21st century is truly an age of cataclysmic change and creativity. This is what NAC expects all institutions to come out with new and innovative ideas. So Indian government has made a firm commitment in creating a knowledge-based and skill-based society. These two things, knowledge and skill, especially my focus is more on skill-based society, national skill framework, right? All the entire era from 2015 onwards, the entire government or the UGC, all the policy makers are motivating all the higher education institutions to come out with skill-based courses. So far, we talk about creating a knowledge community. Now we have to go for a skill-based community. As most of you might have known, the famous electric car company Tesla in US. In that company, they have started recruiting people without degrees. They don't ask for any diplomas or degrees or certificates. Instead, they ask what kind of skill you possess, in what skill you are expert in. This is what they ask for. They don't bother about having a graduation or post-graduation and other things. This is what Indian educational policy, national education policy in 2020 stresses upon. We have to produce graduates with viable skills, very essential skills, which make them employable and make them from a shift from job seekers to job providers. More stress is given to entrepreneurial skills and other soft skills which make our students employable in the competitive job market. That is why we need to innovate, and innovations are quite inevitable. ANJAC being an autonomous institution since 1987, we have adopted Bloom's taxonomy way back in 1970s. It is inevitable. And in 1990s, we have implemented CBCS pattern. We have gone for CBCS. And apart from CBCS, we have gone in 2020, we have implemented outcome-based education in a full-fledged way. Thanks to our beloved and far-sighted principal, Dr. C. Ashok sir, we have even moved towards implementing National Education Policy 2020, and we have implemented in our college. So it is inevitable that we need to go for changes. Let me share with you an interesting ad. Why changes are inevitable? Why there is a need for innovations? Let me share a small video clip that will be a little bit motivating to you, especially in a post-lunch session. What kind of era we are living in. I want to share with you this one. A small video clip I have taken from YouTube. Okay, kindly bear with me for the advertisement here. Sorry, just a second. Yes. Yes, please look at the video. Is the screen visible?
No, sir.
Can you see the video clip? No?
No, sir.
Just a second. Is the screen visible now? The YouTube window?
Yes, sir.
is how the internet era has evolved, and it is inevitable that we need to innovate new things and we need to come out with new ideas. So changes are inevitable and we need to follow them. There is no other option for us. That is why we have to innovate and come out with new things, right? So we need to identify what are the possible things or what are the new things we can implement in our institution. Because when you introduce new things, that must be suitable towards students, that must be adoptable, that must be in a form in which it can be implemented in an institution. The resources must permit us. All these things must be taken into consideration while implementing a new thing or innovative ideas in the institution. So for this introducing of innovations, we need to work together with all the major stakeholders involved together. What I mean is, we need to have policy makers like the government, the UGC, AICT, NAC, TANSCI, etc., the higher education institutions, colleges or university, the concerned institute, teachers, students, parents, and industrial experts. All these are called as the major stakeholders, and we need to involve together in order to bring out innovations in higher education institutions. So innovations, how can we incorporate innovations? What are the possible areas where we can introduce new things? The freedom of autonomy helps us to introduce need-based courses, which meet the demand of local, national, and global needs. Very important thing. NAC will be asking for us what kind of new courses. Courses I am meaning, in a sense, it refers to papers. Programs refer to the degrees we are offering. MA English degree program. Courses refer to papers, right? Need-based papers must meet the demands of local, national, and global needs of the students. So the courses must be skill-based and job-oriented. And autonomy has given us the freedom and power to go for constant revision of syllabi at any point of time. We need not wait for the entire period of 3 years or 4 years to revise the syllabi. We can revise the papers at any point. For example, GST paper replaced the conventional taxation paper in commerce. We introduced GST on a single day. We implemented GST and replaced the conventional paper. And there is a provision of holistic development of personality. We need to ensure that the papers and the syllabi we offer to the students should have the provision to ensure that the personality of the students must be developed in a holistic way. This is what we expect in the aspect of curriculum. Number 2, pedagogy. What are the possible innovations we can incorporate in pedagogy? Teaching learning process can be more realistic and student-centered. Right from chalk and talk is not enough. We need to make the students quick in rejuvenating and revitalizing hope and passion for acquisition of broad-based knowledge. Textbooks must be oriented towards projects, hands-on, and experiential learning. Very important things tested by NAC are experiential learning and open-ended questions, project works, hands-on experience, internship, project work. These are the things we need to innovate in pedagogy. So merely when a child says yes, we need to train them to ask why. A teaching is not just to look but to observe, and we need to shift the passive learning towards hands-on, experiential learning and exploration. We need to provide scope for the students to go further than apart from the textbooks. This is what NAC expects us. I have given one example, a model called Lab on a Bike in India, which was implemented in a school level or the PUC, the undergraduate level. It is one popular example. This initiative involves a bike which is loaded with a set of 10 lab-in boxes that have low-cost tools and equipment to conduct experiments that make science concepts more interesting and alive in the classroom. This can be taken to the open public, to the students in the open ground, and they can conduct classroom experiments, science experiments in open. And this helps students to get more engaged and promotes collaborative learning. This is a possibility of innovation in pedagogy. Earlier we talked about curriculum. This is an innovation in pedagogy. What are the other things where we can inculcate innovation? Innovation in research. We need, Dr. Selva Kumar talked about elaborately about research. Funding is a problem. We need to have infrastructure, suitable manpower, policies, collaborations. These are the important keywords used by NAC. We need to provide incentive to the staff members who are actively involved in research. It must be contextual. Research must be contextual and need-based. A research should not be merely to be published and just to be forgotten. It must be contextual. Very important thing is a translational research. It must come out with concrete ideas or concrete implementation. It must be applicable in a concrete real life situation. This is what is called as translational research. When I was talking to an MSc physics student, I told them, sir, he asked me, sir, what kind of project shall I involve? I was just interacting with my student. I told him, try to find out a battery for a mobile phone which lasts for 1 year or 5 years. Try to come out with a lithium ion battery or a sodium ion battery or a fuel cell using hydrogen, which must have practical usage. This kind of research is essential. This is called as translational research. In any research, we need to have integrity and ethics, and NAC motivates us to promote entrepreneurial training, for which in our ANJAC we have AII Hub, which talks about the startups and innovation and incubation hub. So in our institution, we need to establish an innovation and incubation hub, and we need to promote startups. Many esteemed institutions like IITs and IIMs, they promote startups. In foreign universities, they have their own fund creation by promoting startups, solar vehicles, solar panels, green energy sources. They have a separate laboratory for students to come out with innovative projects. Right, these are the strategies to incorporate innovations and research. I don't want to elaborate on all these things. Let me just rush up. We have to remodel our course curriculum. We need to re-engineer our academic and research infrastructure. We have to reorient our human resources, right? And we have to restore our glorious past in education, which comes out with viable research, right? So we need to revamp our organizational structure, which must be more flexible in order to promote research culture among our staff as well as among our students. So we need to think our future goals, objectives, and plans of action. So we have to revisit our vision and mission statements, reviving and re-energizing our faculty to improvement programs and student welfare culture and practices. So we need to provide more amenities on campus, and we need to march towards growth, progress, and development in terms of research. And finally, whatever research project taken up by an institution should have a practical application to the society. We need to contribute to the society. Kindly take up adopted villages concept. It is very, very essential for NAC. We need to adopt 2 or 3 villages in the nearby locality, in the vicinity, and the institution should have a board in that villages. We need to take up some project work, internship work, extension work. All kinds of works can be carried out in those adopted villages, which is highly appreciated by NAC. This talks about, we also talk about, many people must be aware of it, CSR, corporate social responsibility. In this context, I am talking about institutional social responsibility, ISR, college social responsibility. Other words, if you don't want to use the word institution, you can use the word college social responsibility. What are the things we have implemented in the adopted villages? NAC will definitely appreciate if we carry out extension and other activities in those adopted villages, which would be very much helpful and appreciated. Okay, what about innovation in curriculum, pedagogy, research? Now I move on towards innovation in evaluation. What are the innovative methods we can go for evaluation? Apart from writing tests or quiz, we can go for oral methods. We have oral assignments in our college. We need to have seminars, student seminars. Compositions are still followed in our college in order to promote their writing skill. Assignments, group discussions, debates, colloquiums, comprehension and viva voce. This comprehension component is conducted through online mode. This is an online examination, a time-bound comprehension examination is conducted, compiling all the core papers they have studied from semesters 1 to 5. So a comprehension test with objective type questions will be conducted in an online mode in order to ensure that the students have so far understood all the core papers in an efficient way. Viva OC, even for UG students or PG students, is highly appreciable by the NAC. So these are the innovative methods we can implement in evaluation component. I talked about curriculum, pedagogy, research, and evaluation. Sir, is that all? Is innovations over? No. We have to introduce innovations in feedback also, in which I told you all stakeholders must be involved. We need to ensure secrecy in feedback. Students must feel secure in order to provide their feedback. That we must ensure that their confidentiality must be maintained and their details will not be shared at any cost. We need not get their names or roll numbers or register numbers. We need not get their signature. We need to get feedback on curriculum, on teachers, the teaching learning process, the examination system, even after they go out of college. This is what OBE stresses. Even the graduate goes out of the college, we need to follow them. We need to have a track record for next 3 years. How the student has evolved after 3 years, right? What the student has achieved. Outcome-based education stresses primarily on the attainments, what the students has really attained. This is what OBE is all about. And feedback must be purposeful and realistic. We need not confuse them. Questions need not be ambiguous. It must be very clear and purposeful. What purpose we are getting the feedback? Whether it is in our college, we get obtained feedback for all the categories: syllabus, teaching learning process, infrastructure, the sources used by the resources used by the teachers, the teaching quality, right? Other things, all these things will be tested and evaluated by the students in the form of a feedback. So feedback is very essential in order to go for SWOT analysis, in order to assess our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It can be used for future actions. We also have internal audits, external audits from external experts. These things will enable or strengthen the departments, right, in the areas which we are weak. Right? Only when someone from outside, when they come out and point out our weaknesses and strengths and opportunities, we may correct ourselves and go in the right direction. Follow-up in feedback is very, very essential. This is what OBE stresses. Okay. When we talk about value framework of NAC, before we proceed to value framework, let me show you a small video clip just to avoid boredom. I just want to thought of sharing one small video. Kindly bear with me. Am I boring?
No, sir.
Kindly bear with me. A small video clip which is meant for innovation or innovative ideas. How we can implement innovation even in day-to-day things. Can you see the screen? Is it visible? Is the YouTube screen visible?
No, sir.
Can you see it now?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Yes, please just watch a small video clip, which will be really interesting. Sorry, is it interesting? I hope it was an interesting video clip. You might have enjoyed it. Okay. So these are the innovations we can introduce in higher education institutions in terms of curriculum, pedagogy, research, and the feedback. Okay, now coming to the second part of my presentation, let me talk about the value framework of NAC. I have taken from the NAC website or the NAC guidelines the points I have listed out here. The present scenario, it is a sad state that even the best products of our IITs and IIMs have overdeveloped minds. Can you see the PPT? Oh, sorry, I don't know how to share it. Is the PPT visible?
No, sir, not visible.
Okay, I think it is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is the value framework given by NAC. Even our best products, IITs and IIMs are considered to be the topmost educational institutions, right? And even in that IITs and IIMs, we have overdeveloped minds and underdeveloped hearts. This is the current scenario. This is the terrible state of India, where we have very good brains, but we have underdeveloped hearts. The ultimate effect of this scenario is brain drain. The creamy layer of India, the most intelligent people of India, right? The highly skilled people of India, highly skilled graduates, they move out of India, they get employment in abroad. This is what is called as brain drain, and we have a natural problem of unemployment and underemployment. These are the effects, and this is all due to the lack of ethics and values. So NAC has suggested the following core values for higher education institutions in our country. These are the key focus areas we need to work upon. Number one, whatever innovation, whatever value system, whatever new things we introduce in our college must contribute to national development. Whatever activity we take up, it must contribute to national development. Number two, it must foster global competencies among students. Third thing is very, very important, inculcating a value system in students and promoting the use of technology, and finally quest for excellence. I want to focus more on the third point, inculcating a value system in students. How can we implement that? Why NAC has been giving so much of importance on that? And why? What is the need and scope? India is a multi-pluralistic country, right? We have a diverse cultures are there, and students need to be imbibed with appropriate values which commensurate with social, cultural, economic, and environmental realities. And these values must be suitable with local, national, and universal levels. So value integration in academic programs is very, very essential. Whatever programs we taught, programs I mean the degrees. So we need to have some values in all kinds of degree programs we offer, right? So value integration in the institutional management practice is also essential. In criterion 7, in that innovations and best practices, we need to mention how the management is, the power is decentralized. Power should not be accumulated in one person. It must be decentralized. As far as NAC is concerned, they want the power to be decentralized. So there must be a proper work culture in an institution. Value inculcation among students through co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Apart from syllabus, apart from academic programs, we need to imbibe values through co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Sports and games, which promotes teamwork. So while we organize any program in our college, kindly focus on what value this or what skill or what value this activity is focused upon. Kindly bear with it. Kindly write it down. As Dr. Selvakumar has pointed out and Dr. Sindhu has pointed out, when we design our handbook, when we have an academic calendar, kindly make a note that we need to celebrate important days and festivals in order to inculcate values in the minds of young learners. These are the core values which we follow in our college. It has to be also uploaded in the college website. It must be available with the title Core Values of the College. First thing is holistic development of students in concern with local and global needs. These are the words taken from NAC: truth, compassion, empathy, universal brotherhood, perseverance, and ethics. These are the major human values. These, when we design, when we organize activities, we need to focus on these values which are covered up in that activity. Right? When we celebrate Mother's Day, we need to celebrate, we need to uphold the value of celebrating motherhood. Right? Women are embodiments of sacrifice. Right? We need to be empathetic. We need to develop compassion. World Non-Violence Day, we need to celebrate it. Gandhi's anniversary for truth, for upholding the value of truth. We have to design the activities in such a way that it must propagate some value in the minds of students. NAC will definitely appreciate it. Right? FDPs, what kind of knowledge and skills the staff members are expected to hone and develop. Promoting the research ethos among students and faculty to cater to the needs of society. Providing care and autonomy to ensure people's dignity and respect, and empowering the students by offering training on entrepreneurship skills to emerge as job providers rather than job seekers. This is the mantra of Anchak, where we create job providers rather than mere job seekers. In such a way, we need to also frame the core values of well-ordered college. Right? Please keep it in mind. And how can we implement the value system among students? We need to implement them through various service channels. We call them as service channels. Each department will have an association of its own. Right? Every department must have an association. For example, in English, we have the English Literary and Debating Association. Like that, all departments can have an association on their own. Clubs, for a photography club, humor club, right? Population education club. But I told you, all these service channels must have a motto to serve the society and to uphold some values. National and international level values must be promoted. NSS, teamwork, NSS, NCC, all these are promoting teamwork and leadership qualities. Youth Red Cross, Yellow Ribbon Club, Extension Services, WOOS. We have a Center for Competitive Examinations to instill the spirit of clearing competitive examinations. We have Women's Cell to ensure gender equity. Equal Opportunity Center or cell helps underprivileged people also to compete with normal students. We have Institute of Gandhian Thought, Center for Vivekananda Studies. We have a center called CREG-WAV, which promotes the research in environmental pollution, in global warming in Virudhunagar district. Center for Research and Education in global warming in Virudhunagar district. That is what is shortly we formed an acronym called CREG-WAV. We also have a Biplan Animal Care Club, right? This is Animal Care Club, which we have a peacock garden. We have a peacock club where we have lots and lots of peacocks. We are feeding them regularly. These are some appreciable activities in NAC, in the perspective of NAC. So what are the other initiatives we can implement to inculcate values in the young students? Number one, these are the key points in criterion 7. This is a summary. This is a summary of criterion number 7, where we can implement and inculcate values among the students. Number one is gender equity. I talked about Women's Cell, which can be in which one lady staff member from all the departments can be members in the Women's Cell. This Women's Cell organizes regular programs to promote gender equity, job opportunities, entrepreneurial skills like embroidery skills, driving skills, right? Swimming skills, sewing skills, cookery, and all these things. Guest lectures on safety, constitutional rights, moral obligations, women safety, women empowerment activities, all these are all organized under the heading Women's Cell to promote gender equity. Number two is environmental consciousness and sustainability. In a college, we need to promote the concept of green initiatives. It is very, very important. Students and staff members must be conscious about the environment. We need to go for paperless office. Social media can be utilized in the fullest extent possible. We need not use paper circulars. We can send WhatsApp messages, but document it, right? And number three, we need to promote alternate energy sources. For that, in the previous two cycles, NAC promoted or NAC wanted to abolish ordinary electric bulbs. They promoted to go for CFL. Tube lights and ordinary electric bulbs were replaced with CFL. In the fourth cycle, NAC wanted to destroy CFL, and they wanted to promote LEDs, which are more energy efficient. We need to think about solar energy, wind energy, which are coming under the heading alternate energy sources. And in our institution, we should go for an energy audit. This audit has to be carried out by a certified engineer from TANGEDCO, TNEB. He must be a certified engineer. We need to go for energy audit, how the institution manages power consumption. This is energy audit. There are energy auditors who are approved by TNEB. We need to go for them. Kindly go for energy audit every year. Number four is waste management initiatives. How solid, liquid, chemical, glass, food waste are segregated and disposed, reduce, recycle, and reuse. This is the mantra of NAC. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. We have to minimize the waste and we have to manage the waste efficiently. We promote activities like art from waste, right? How we efficiently make use of food. Food waste is converted into fertilizers, earthworms. We have mulberry plant cultivation. We use earthworm rearing. We promote it, right? We also we have a scheme called Earn While You Learn scheme, in which we sell that manure promoted by the earthworm manure. It is called as organic manure, which is sold in the cooperative store of our college. This is how we have to effectively make use of waste management initiatives. Number five is water conservation and rainwater harvesting measures. We have dug rainwater harvesting ponds in the low-lying areas. Sivagasi is a rain-fed area, right? Malai Maraivu Pradesam, where we have very less rainfall, so we need to harvest rainwater in an efficient way. All the blocks must have rainwater harvesting structures, and it must be properly supported with signboards. All the blocks must have rainwater harvesting units. Please ensure that and keep a board near the structure. Next thing is green campus initiatives, and for which we need to carry out two important audits. One is called as green audit, another one is called as environment audit. Green audit talks about the flora and the fauna in our college. This also has to be carried out by certified auditors from the Department of Forestry. Environment audit can be also carried out by them. They will carry out what kind of people from Pollution Control Board. They can serve as auditors for environment audit. These three audits are insisted by NAC: energy audit, green audit, and environment audit. Right? Okay. How to inculcate values? Birth and death anniversaries of great leaders must be celebrated and observed. Observance of important days. I told you these days must be properly mentioned in the handbook so that the departments will plan well in advance about the activity they are going to organize. National or international level commemorative days must be celebrated. Events. Samatwa Pongal can be celebrated. One example is Samatwa Pongal. It promotes national integrity, communal harmony. This is very, very important. These values are very, very important. Human values. professional ethics, constitutional obligations. We invite lawyers and judges for guest lectures. They deliver talks or invited lectures about the constitutional rights, women's rights, right? And students must be sensitized about the values, rights, and the duties. It's very, very essential. NAC specifically asks for a question about human values and professional ethics. I have compiled everything. These are the best practices we need to adopt in our institution. These are the values we need to instill in our students. And most important thing is we need to adopt all latest schemes from the government, like Swachh Bharat, Swachhta Pakhwada, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, all these things, which are the key factors of our beloved Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. We need to adopt all kinds of latest schemes promoted by the Government of India and the Government of Tamil Nadu. Make in India, all these things must be promoted, which will fetch you very good score in NAC, especially in the 7th criteria. With this, I would like to wind up, and for implementing all such things, all such initiatives, what we need is the very first point I tell you, we need teamwork and cooperation. We need teamwork and cooperation. It is very, very essential. Let me share with the final video clip which shows the power of unity or the power of teamwork. How with the power of teamwork we can make
good grammar and spelling are important.
Sorry,
But if you want to
advertisement. This advertisement. Okay. Kindly look at this video.
It's smart to travel in groups. It's smarter to travel in groups.
Okay. So with this, I come to the end of my presentation. It is always better to work in a team. So we need the cooperation of all the stakeholders. I told you, the policy makers, the management, the teachers, non-teaching staff members, the parents, students, everybody must come together in order to innovate, in order to introduce innovative ideas in an institution, and in order to come out with best practices. And kindly try to take up the most unique and innovative feature of your institution to be as the best practices. We have to give 2 best practices in our criterion 7. For that purpose, we need to choose which is the strongest area of your college. You need to identify that, and we need to organize activities in order to strengthen those 2 activities. Then only we can get a very good score, because out of 100 in criterion 7, the last 2 questions will carry a weightage of 50%. So last two questions will carry a weightage of 50% of the entire criterion. Please concentrate more on the best practices and institutional distinctiveness. These two questions carry a weightage of 50% of the entire chunk. Kindly focus on the strongest area of your institution, identify that, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for your interesting ideas and guidance. Participants are requested to fill the feedback link posted in the chat box at the end. Now, I request Dr. P. Indumati, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Food and Nutrition, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening to all. It is my immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of IQAC Vellalar College for Women. First, I would like to thank our management and Madam Principal for rendering their constant support in all our endeavors. We place on record our sincere thanks to Dr. C. Ashok, Principal, Ayyanadar Janagiyammal College, Sivakasi. Our heartfelt thanks goes to Dr. B. Selvakumar, Assistant Professor and Head, Center for Research and PG Department of Commerce, and Dr. M. Muvendan, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of English, for their valuable guidance and speech. Once again, I thank all the chief guests of today's program. I take this opportunity to thank our IQAC coordinator, Dr. L.M. Swarnalatha, Head PG and Research Department of English, for her constant support. And I thank all the members of the IQAC team for their untiring effort in making this workshop a grand success. I also thank all the faculty members from various Minty institutions and our own institution for their participation. Once again, I thank one and all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks for the opportunity once again. Thank you. Ma'am, shall I leave the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.